Welcome to another episode of For Footballers Only. I'm Mike,
I'm James Pinay.
and today we have a special guest.
How y'all doing? I'm Larry Mark, Coach Larry, either one.
Coach Larry Mark. All right.
Thanks for joining
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Larry. All right, Larry, let's just get right into it. Where does your football story begin?
Oh, man. Okay, so not to be long-winded.
No. Be long-winded. Don't say not to be long-winded. I want you to be long-winded. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. How much time y'all got? Nah, okay. All right. So yeah, so and I guess it'll make sense. Hopefully, we'll kind of get to this and these other moving pieces, But yeah, so my story starts really with my parents, with my family, which is in they're from Grenada and Trinidad. So my father, him and his side is from Grenada. My mother and her side is from Trinidad. All right. So my parents met each other right in Washington, D.C. And the reason why that is important is because, for one, my uncle, my father's brother, right, is the one who actually got me started playing. So my father was more so in the track. He was a track guy. But my uncle, his brother, was a big soccer guy when he was in Grenada, soccer and track. And then when they came to the States, he was staying with us. So when I was a little kid, like, he was the one at the age of 3 or 4 who kind of had me, getting after it. And then my mother had a brother on her side, right, who was real big in soccer back in Trinidad. And then when he came to D.C., he played in D.C. and, he ran into a lot of people like Keith Tucker's there, like, Coach Tuckers, and a lot of the people who were in that era. He kind of bumped into them in that era. So to continue with that, why that makes sense is and why that has such a prominent part of my football history is because the first club team that I played for that was starting to do some things was a small club by the name of Burtonsville, right? And we had some African coaches, right, by the name of Theo Botchway and Ebenezer Botchway, right? Two guys from Ghana, okay, who had major influences in my origins and my start. And those two guys were also guys, right, who migrated from another country, right, migrated from Ghana, as I said, came to D.C., and they were part of that same wave, right? They ran into Coach Tucker. They ran into my uncle, right? And as well as a whole slew of other people who were kind of playing in the men's leagues in D.C. in those times. So when I bumped into Coach Theo's son. He has a son by the name of Brandon Botchway, right, who ended up becoming one of my best friends in life. But we first met, I think it was in the summer camp, some random summer camp. I think I was 5. He might have been 6. He was a year older than me, right? We got into a fight, right? It was over some little game, right? We got into a fight. We was in timeout, right? So we sitting in timeout talking, and it's like it just came up that we both played soccer. It was like, really? You play? Yeah, me. You know what I'm saying? And then we started talking, and then, per usual, both our parents were extremely late to pick us up, right? We were the last kids there. He had an older sister. I met his older sister. So the three of us were just sitting around talking about soccer. And then our parents pulled up, but my mother and his father kind of pulled up at the same time, right? And then at this time, me and him was best friends already because it's like, okay, you play soccer? Cool, right? So we just hit it off like that. And then that kind of excitement kind of translated to our parents. And so our parents immediately started talking, and that's when they made that connection. Then they realized, my mother's brother knew, right, his father, and then that's how that kind of started. Wow. And then at the time, we was both playing in little random leagues, and hopefully maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. But one of the things a lot of us went through in them times, especially in the 90s, soccer was very racist. It's still racist, but it's moving along, it's getting better. But in those times, there weren't a lot of Black programs, there weren't a lot of Black people really involved at the youth level in this area. So I remember my mom had a major problem with, that and me not getting enough playing time. And, she was one of them crazy moms who kind of walk up and down the sideline if her child wasn't playing, you know what I mean? And kind of the coach the evil eye. So she always felt that level of racism. So she kind of convinced Brandon's father, look, man, I know you know the game, right? You from Ghana. You know my brother. Y'all play together. I know you know the game. Nobody's going to know. None of the other little coaches out here going to know the game. You know the game. So she kind of convinced him to start a team. And so that's really the origins of me kind of getting going. And me and my all of us kind of being involved in this whole like DMV kind of soccer movement that's kind of really starting to blow up. So we started a team, and then, like I said, our coach knew Keith's father, right, from playing with each other. So that's when he started also taking us around, right, to Tacoma, where Coach Tucker already started having something going on. So we started linking up with them. So that's kind of how that started. By the time I was 17, 16, right, I was forced to make a tough decision. So like I said, my team, very small club, very small operation, right? Majority minorities. I remember it was a big deal once Brandon's father decided, once we started to get more serious with it, started running through NCSL, moving up the ranks, he started letting people know, like, hey, he started to realize that these other coaches out here getting paid, right? Hey, maybe it's time for me to start getting paid. You know what I mean? Because we were starting to get more and more serious with it. And I remember that was the issue. I'm just saying that to say that's how small our club and our operation was. When our coach was like, hey, guys, I think I'm supposed to get paid for all the stuff that we're doing, it was like, what? It was like a big deal. Like, who's doing that? Like, who's got the money for that? So like, these are some of the hardships that, set the tone for moving forward. Like, as I'm starting to have some success, I'm on a state team, I'm on regional team now. Now I'm getting some exposure. You know what I mean? I'm going other places. I'm starting to see what other kids got access to and are doing. And it started to kind of ruin me, because now I'm coming back to my situation. It's like, oh, man, this is not it, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is not it. And now I'm starting to, so now being on the regional team, we got these seminars where they're teaching us about, the next level and college recruiting and all this stuff that none of the people around me might have really known yet. So it's like I was kind of hip earlier to the kids around me, like, yo, we're kind of doomed here. Like, we're not really in the best situation to move forward from where we're at here. And God bless, Brandon's father and what we had going on, but it was just a small situation. And as we all know, the major arms of American soccer and those big clubs and stuff. So I had an opportunity presented in front of me where a lot of players from my team was about to go join another team, right, at Bethesda side, right, at the time. So we kind of did the first big three LeBron James kind of move where you link up with your folks. Like, we kind of was the first to really do that, right? And it was a big boy decision for me to make, because, like I said, let me cycle back to my boy Brandon. That was my man, right? So at the time, we were working at Six Flags, right? In the summertime, we both had summer jobs at Six Flags, right? We worked together there. And so one day I got home from work and I got the call from one of my friends who was on my team, and he was pretty much, it was like straight mafia stuff. Like, he's like, it's already done. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's already done. He's like, Larry, man, it's done, man. And he's explaining to me these boss moves that these kids made where them and their parents already, you know what I'm saying, Bethesda, the kids on Bethesda already like manufactured the whole play. They was about to kick their coach out, kick half of their players out, bring, most of the players, which were like most of the black kids from my team, like bring most of us on there to join them, bring this new big time coach at the time, Graham Ramsey, who was known for having a lot of success in the area, English guy at the time. So they had this whole plan mapped out, this whole 2-year plan, like, and I'm sitting on the phone like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? They had the whole play, what we was going to do. We're going to do these tournaments, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I'm just like, yo, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Because it's like, this team is obviously about to mop everybody else. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, and then also learning their plans and knowing that my team had none of those plans, it's like, wow, I had to make that decision then. What do I do as far as my future? And then my friend was telling me they knew it would have been hard for me to make that decision. That's what they told me last. So everyone had already decided, like all the top players on our team, they already signed off like they were leaving, right? Yeah. So that's what my friend was like, look, man, we know we had to tell you last because you probably wouldn't have wanted to do it. You'd have been the hardest one to convince. And they were right. They were very tactical in that, because it was like I had no choice at that point to decide to go roll with them. You know what I mean? And I had to tell my boy the next day at work. I was crushed, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know how to tell him I've been with that same team forever. I always hated Bethesda and everything about that whole big machine. Like, we was always, Rage Against the Machine, big machine. We were always this close to doing that, but we just never was able to. But I had to make that tough decision. So went and did that, and it was one of the best decisions of my life. I can't even lie to you. I mean, I can't even lie. And like, my boy, shout out to Brandon Boxway, man. Like, Years later, once he saw how things worked out, he kind of grown man was like, look, man, I get it now, bro. Like, I see why you did what you did, man. I respect you for it. Because he definitely hated my guts, you know, as did others. But also, he was an 84 at the time. I'm born in 1985, not to date myself, you know what I mean? But how it was at those times when we were coming up, you could be 2 different years could play in the same calendar year, how they used to do it. Now I think everyone has to be born in the same year. But back then, if you were born like after August, you could play in the age group beneath you.
Yeah.
One of the things that they had in this master plan was it had to be all kids who were of the same year so that we could all play a guaranteed 2 years. Like there wouldn't be any kids who were, you know, older and then be graduating high school and then wouldn't be able to play again. So like I said, they had this whole master plan that was like foolproof and it worked. I mean, we went on to win State Cup 2 years in a row. We won regionals, went to nationals. You know, I was able to get recruited to Rutgers University from that, you know, from those tournaments that we were going to that my team couldn't go to. I mean, we went to Florida one time and it took us like 2 years to save up, you know, and our club had 2 teams and we had like only one team could go. It was one of those things. We only had enough money for one team to go. So one of us went like, so yeah, that was a major move for me. Also, I know for most people, high school isn't that prevalent. I don't hear a lot of people talking about their high school careers on here, you know, because their high schools were trash, you know, like I don't think Jason's team, I don't think School Without Walls even had a team back then. I mean, they didn't have walls. So, I mean, why would they have a team? So, right? I mean, Alex went to Wilson. He'll try to talk like they did something, but come on, let's be real. So, like, I went to the map. I'll let y'all know. So,
talk.
So, you know, y'all told me to be long-winded. Here it goes. So, went to the Mather, you know, and now the Mathers and Lights, we'll come back to that too. You know, we'll come back to that. But the Mather was doing a great job, you know, as far as being a prominent soccer program. A lot of that is because of the class that came in with me a little bit before me and some after me. We kind of really turned that program around and kind of put it into the situation that it started to become, even though I have something to do with that. I coach at McNamara High School now. The reign of the Mather soccer is now over. I'm sorry. But anyway. But I did have some success at the Mather as a team as an individual.
Yo, you came ready, Larry. I mean,
hey, man, I was supposed to do this like 2 months ago, man. Come on.
Everybody's getting hit. Everybody's getting hit. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
oh, yeah. Y'all got the right one for this. Y'all got the right one. But, yeah, so the Mather was cool. Definitely had a good run at the Mather. Won a title or 2. You know, had some good individual accolades, but also kind of helped me get to the next level. So, yeah, did that. Went on to Rutgers. Had that whole big college, big-time program experience. When I went there, they were top 10 in the nation. But that was a whole nother experience within itself going there. We had about 30-something people in preseason my freshman year, you know. So it was an introduction to a professional setting for the first time in my life. You know what I mean? Great facilities. I'll tell y'all a story. When I got to Rutgers, that was the first time I really played with real official soccer balls. I know it sounds crazy, but once again, like I said, just explain the humble upbringing in which my club had initially. Right, we only would have like one soccer ball at practice for real, maybe 2 or 3. But I really do remember, and we didn't have nets like our field. It was most times the net wasn't there. If it was there, it was chopped up, like it'll be gone again. But I remember specifically one night, like we had one ball and the ball rolled into the street and the car ran over it and popped the ball. Our practice was over. Like literally, like we went home. We didn't have any more balls. I'm not lying. It's a true story. True story. So like that, and then even when I was on Bethesda, it was like we used to practice these weird places, parking lots, like all types of random stuff we would do. So like when I'm saying this is my first time in a real like footballing situation, it was mind-boggling. And I remember ask Keith, because I argued with Keith. Like I'm telling Keith, like, you know, the balls that we were using out here, like fake balls. You know what I mean? Like I think I came out, we was playing some figure. I was making fun of Keith's ball, like, that's just a fake ball, bro. Like it's not even pumped up for real. And I'm trying to show him on the ball, like, this is fake. Because when I got to Rutgers, we had like Champions League balls, like World Cup, like balls that they were using in the World Cup and Champions League and stuff like that is the balls that we were using in practice. And I don't know if y'all know, these things flying. Like they don't move like the balls that we were using. And it took me a period of adjustment to be able to use those balls. Right. So I remember arguing with Keith, like, bro, you ain't understand. It's not a real ball. I'm sorry, dog. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so I got that good experience at Rutgers. But I kind of clashed with the coach a little bit. Ended up transferring to American University after 2 years over at Rutgers. Transferred to American University. You know, that was decent. It was the opposite of Rutgers. We had some good talent, but it was making the switch from like a big time sports program, big time full-fledged sports school to like just kind of like a regular situation. So I go from being like you big time on campus as a student athlete, everybody's doing stuff for you, like you don't even have to lift a finger. I'm sorry, so much. Yeah, you don't even have to lift a finger to create your schedule for your classes. Like all you got to do is just let your advisor know which classes you want to take, and they handle everything else. So I get to America and it's like, yeah, man, you got to do this. You got to, figure out your classes. Like I'm like, what? What you mean? I got to do it myself? Man, get me out of here, man. Get me out of here. So yeah, that was that. So as far as like grassroots and beginning goes, that was that. After American, we went to the Info Sport Combine. A bunch of us went. I think somebody talked about that on here. I think Jason talked about that on here. Us went. Jason, Biko went. I don't think Keith went, but it was a big group of us. But rest in peace, Jerome Hyde. He went with us too. And he, at the time, he had before he went to Howard, Jerome went to Essex Community College. And he had a coach by the name of Pete Med, and I think another coach. I think Jim Tremexi might have been his coach, but I know Pete Med was his coach. And Jerome was my roommate at the time. So I was going to American, but I still lived on the other side of the town with a bunch of those Howard guys, and I lived with Jerome. And I remember him telling me, like, early on in our pursuit of trying to become pros, that his coaches were starting a team, right? And they was going to have a free tryout at some point in February. I remember not even taking him seriously. Like, yeah, whatever, man. I'll be picked up by them by somebody. Like, everybody trip about them small fries and talk about that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember really thinking that, like, okay, whatever. But yeah, you know how the ball bounces out here.
Yes,
yeah. Lo and behold, I had no opportunities, like nothing. And I remember looking at Rome. He was like, "Well, we're gonna do the free trial or what?" You know. So the team was Crystal Palace, Baltimore. And Crystal Palace in England, was trying to set up a team over here with the intentions of sending talented young players to England. So we rolled out to Baltimore and went for that tryout, and that ended up working out for me. So that's how I kind of weaseled my way in the back door of professional soccer here in this country. And then had some injury issues. Had a son, so kind of had to revisit some things. And make some other decisions in my life.
Yeah. Well said, man.
Yeah.
Is that too much?
My bad. No, I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. I mean, there's so much to go into. All right, let's
go for it, man.
Yeah. We got some time. I like how you took no prisoners. Everybody got their shot.
Got a heat.
you get everybody their piece. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let's backtrack a little. When all you guys were playing on that famous Bethesda team, I mean not Bethesda, the Burnsville team. Mm-hmm. Actually, do you have a picture of that team?
I'm gonna have to look.
Okay. I need a picture of that team. That team sounds like like a Fab Five type situation. You know what I mean? Like, especially how all of you guys transfer over to Bethesda later and made that a bigger program and won all the stuff. But anyway, so when you guys,
you're right. I gotta find it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, this is a big part of what
legacy.
Yeah, like we a lot of us, I think, because we've done a lot and we do a lot and we're still in it or whatever it is, we kind of discount, our history, you know what I mean? And then we overvalue the history of others, right? And part of it is just because of the way it's presented, this or that. But like, we already did most of that
right.
stuff, you know what I mean?
Like, right,
yeah. But what I was getting at though, when you guys were all together, like, you know, especially, you know, with Botchway and that Burnsville crew, did you guys have any? Well, did you in particular have any football idol?
Good question. Good question. Good question. Trick question. So early on in the 90s, like we didn't, and I know other guys touched on this, and I remember laughing watching theirs. This is like, I don't think people understand. Like, we didn't get to watch a lot of soccer, man. There's not a lot. Like, it's not. We didn't really have a lot of options. But like, I was one of the kids too. Like, we had cable, but like basic cable. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have HBO. Like, I had to beg my friends to record HBO stuff on VHS so I could watch HBO shows. So if you think I'm about to watch some soccer growing up, like, it wasn't really happening. So by default, it was Pele. Like, I remember, like, who else you gonna pick? I remember writing like a little book report on Pele in the second grade. Mm-hmm. So it started off with Pele. World Cup '94 changed the game, right? World Cup '94 hits, and that's my first time like, whoa, like, this is dope. You know what I mean? You're really seeing all these people. Some people you kind of heard about before from different little stuff. You hear little names, but you're not seeing them play. You're not putting a face to the name. You know what I mean? Even with Pele, I hadn't really seen him play. It was just all the hype. It was like, all right, cool. And then you realize he's black. So it's like, okay, bet. Yeah, that's the man. Okay, that's my man. And then also credit to my father, like, one of the best surprises, honestly, you know, one of the best gifts he ever gave to me in my life. He picked up me and my boy Brandon, right? And I know y'all probably know Brian Botchway, which is they're cousins, right? So their two dads, right, were the ones who was kind of coaching us. But anyway, my father picks up me and Brandon one day on a Friday, and he's just like, I gotta take y'all somewhere. We're like, where we going? Where we going? He's like, just come on. So I remember we hopped in the car, we were riding far. I remember all of a sudden we're in Virginia. Right, we get to some mall in Virginia. It might have been Tyson's Corner, right? We get to some mall, we get in there, and then you see there's like a lot of people, there's a lot of fanfare, a lot going on. And all of a sudden I see a sign, and I'm like, oh, snap, like Pele was there. It was like a little meet and greet with Pele. Yeah, dope, man, dope. So unfortunately, he didn't pay the extra money for us to be able to actually meet and shake hands and take pictures with Pele. But I mean, we was in the building though. We got to look at him and point at him though. Yeah, exactly. So that was big time, man. I give him that, like, big time surprise. We didn't see it. We had no clue. We was pissed. Like, we was hungry, driving far. Like, what's going on? We didn't see it coming. That was big time for that. So Pele originally, but when World Cup '94 hit, and I think partially being biased because of Pele, but once again, maybe just looking at Brazil, you seeing guys who kind of look like you. You know what I mean? I mean, there were some African teams in there as well, but I don't know what it is about Brazil. When I saw Brazil play, I fell in love. It just changed everything. And immediately, Romario became my first idol. And that is how I became a Barcelona fan. So quick little history, because I've had arguments with a lot of people in my life about why I'm a Barca fan, because people don't know. I've been in this. So a lot of people feel like, especially when Messi got there, Dino got there, and they started to really have that present-day modern success, people want to call you a bandwagoner or whatever, but I'm letting them know, like, I always had Boston in my heart from back then, even though same thing, didn't really know much about them. Yeah. But I knew it was like, okay, Romario plays there. And then I fell in love with Ronaldo too. It was like, oh, snap, he played. So it started to, I started to make those connections. But yeah, so to answer your question, Romario was probably the first idol that I saw that I was just like, oh man, he's amazing.
So, so like, especially like you said, you wasn't watching a lot of soccer then, right? And then especially with a young kid, there's a lot of like basketball going on, football. What kept you going? Like, especially as a young kid.
Yeah, good question. So what kept me going originally was ignorance. Like, I didn't even realize, I grew up in a Caribbean household, so I didn't even realize soccer wasn't cool. I'm not even lying. I didn't even know. And like growing up, I'm sure y'all might know, because I know African parents are crazy too. Yeah. Like, you growing up, like, I wasn't really allowed to really be in a lot of other people's houses like that, because it was like, look, man, you're not gonna be like these American kids, man. We're not raising you like these American kids. Like, you're not doing that American kid stuff. Like, so I wasn't just involved in everybody else's lifestyle like that. And if I was, most times your parents were from another country as well, right? Either some islands or Africa as well. So I didn't even really get exposed to basketball and football till a certain point. I had one American uncle in my family. See what I'm saying? Just one, right? He played basketball. So he slowly started kind of introducing me to the game, but it wasn't until All right, so I'll tell you, I was getting made fun of in elementary school one time for my little soccer shorts. Somebody was making fun of me. You know what I mean? So that's how I started, right? That's how I started. Like, what? That's not, you mean to tell me these checkered Umbro joints is not
fire? Those
not
are
in right now?
fire.
You know
Those were always it, though. Those was hot fire.
Come on, man.
Checkered Umbro?
Umbro came back right now. Yo, they got a loyal customer. Umbro.
Yeah.
Umbro, get at me, dog. Let's do something for real.
I might, because I'm sure I'm heavy on like I have all those things, right? So if I check my collection, I guarantee you I can find my checker Umbro shorts.
Yeah.
And Michael's gonna be rocking
bro. The checkerboard, come on, man. The checkerboard shorts, everybody in the 90s, come on, man. So you couldn't tell me I wasn't hot. So once I found out I wasn't, and then that was like the first time my eyes opened up because this one particular person was making fun of me. I think like he ventures over to the basketball court. And granted, I used to always just be kind of playing soccer, minding my own little business and recess and whatever. Now I realize it's like, whoa, all the cool people are at the basketball court. Yeah. All the girls are watching the cool people at the basketball court.
Yeah.
So that's that was the beginning of my little dual life. Where like, it was like, oh, okay, man, basketball. So I started playing basketball hard. Like, and slowly but surely my soccer life became a secret. You know what I mean? Because it was like, it's the same thing. I'm in school, like I'm in middle school now, playing basketball hard. I'm not even playing soccer for my middle school team. I'm like, man, that's corny. Like, who's playing soccer in school? Even all the Spanish kids used to play soccer before school, at recess, after school. I'm walking right past them like, fuck these dudes, what are y'all doing? Walking right past them to go play basketball to get it in. You know what I mean? Like, to the point now, I'm starting to play AAU basketball. And I remember, like, we're getting real cocky, like 7th to 8th grade. And then my father kind of asked me, like, so, son, what you want to do? Like, you going to play in the NBA? You going to try to play pro? And I remember, like, sitting in the car, I remember leaning back, putting my feet up, reclining in the seat. And I was like, Dad, I'll probably just play both. For real. I just do both. And that was really my mentality, right? But so this is what happened, though. I was putting a lot of effort into basketball and was like, I stopped my grind in soccer because, like I said, I had some success. I was on the regional team. So I'm really thinking, like, man, I got this. This soccer thing is in the bag. Like, this is easy. Now kids started hitting growth spurts, right? Everybody started growing and getting stronger. So one, in soccer, like my kind of quickness and things like that, it wasn't like it used to be. It wasn't lights out like it used to be. So that was throwing me for the loop. Like, hold on, like how come? And then everybody was getting strong, and I was always a small kid, but I was strong. So all of a sudden, everybody was getting some people was getting their grown man strength. You know what I mean? People was getting their growth spurts. I still had my little boy strength, my little boy feistiness, but with no like grown man strength to it. So I remember thinking like, yo, what's going on? Like I started to realize I wasn't progressing as much for one in soccer. My skills weren't progressing because I wasn't putting that much time in. And then during those days, we were still in our Tuesdays and Thursday mission. Like, you know, we only played soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That was it in those days. But also I didn't grow, so that affected me in basketball too. So I had kind of made a decision at 13, like, you know what, let me just cut the basketball and really just stick to the soccer. And then I ended up going to the math. And it's funny because like I was really doing all right in basketball to the point where people only knew me as a basketball player. Like there was people out here in this world who didn't even know that I played soccer. So case in point, I remember one of the first days in school at the math, I run into somebody and they're like, oh, snap, you going here too? Okay, you trying for the team? Okay, you going to be playing ball? And I'm like, negative, bro. Actually, I play soccer. It's like, what? What? Hey, yo, this dude plays soccer. It was like one of them. I was like, relax, chill. I know it's a secret, but it's out now. It's out now. Yeah. So it was kind of like by default because there was a point where I was kind of pushing soccer to the side. Yeah. But like I said, kind of how things worked out. But I'm not gonna lie to you. That's one of my biggest regrets, though, is quitting basketball. Like I wish somebody would have encouraged me to stick with it because one of the things that I encourage, right, is for soccer players to play multiple sports. Like don't just only stick with just soccer because there was a lot of intangibles that I got from playing basketball. There's a lot of things that I learned about being an athlete, being a competitor, being a winner, from playing high level basketball because this area is big time in basketball. So that's one of the things that I was able to gain. Like we learned from the Kevin Durant, the documentary, and things like that. Like, oh snap, something's in the water. Like I kind of lived through that. You know what I mean? Like I was in AAU. I was in a lot of those gyms he was talking about. And I saw a lot of that stuff. It opened my eyes up to a lot, because soccer, for one, soccer in this country, right? it's not that serious. I mean, it's getting better obviously now, but growing up, like, yeah, it's not that serious. When I say that serious, it's not our top sport. So it's not treated all the way down to the bottom as a top sport would be treated, right? So how soccer's treated in the rest of the world, it's not treated like that here. But basketball, right, you see what it looks like when it's a number one sport, how people treat it, how coaches treat it, how the players treat it, how parents treat it, how the neighborhood treats it, how fans treat it. So now when you grow up playing soccer and it's like 10 people at the, you know what I'm saying? Like your parents, your family at the game, barely, like maybe your sibling comes, maybe depending on your family, you know. I know some people, maybe their girl might have been there growing up or an extended family member, but it wasn't very common. Yeah. But all of a sudden now you start playing high level basketball. Oh, the gym is packed, right? You 12 and 13. I used to call it was like being in the NBA, the baby NBA already. You 12 and 13, it's packed, right? Standing room only. You know what I mean? Everyone's family, they family's family, they friends, they neighbors, their cousins is there, their girls' friends, scouts, high school scouts, college scouts. Like, it's a big deal. So that experiencing that took away from a lot of times now when certain kids might feel pressure in certain games in soccer. I didn't feel that no more because it's like, this is really not that serious. You know what I mean? Like, you play basketball, you got the guy's mom talking trash to you the whole game. Like, the guy that you're guarding. You know what I mean? Like, his mom is in your ear talking trash. His dad, right, is in your ear like, get him, son! You know what I'm saying? He can't stop you, dog him. Like, it wasn't that level of hostile environment. It just wasn't like that in soccer. Like, granted, the parents on our team were pretty hostile, right? But it was more so to us. Like, my father was a hostile dude as far as being a parent on the sideline, but it was more so to me or to the refs or to, like, if a player, like, fouled me or something like that. But he wasn't, like, talking trash to the guy guarding me, right? Yeah. I always played on the wing, so my dad was the old school. Like, we talking back in the day when you had to grab it. Like, parents had to be the linesman. Remember that? Like, he'd go grabbing at the flag from the ref quick. Like, yeah, I got it. I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just so he could run up and down the side and just talk trash to me. I used to hate it. Like, dog, go sit down somewhere, man. Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. So that's the only level of hostility that I experienced. But so yeah, now I learned a lot from basketball though.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, like, I don't even know where to start. Really, like, there's so many questions.
I'm messing up.
You're good. No. Okay, before we even go into what I really wanted to ask, but now you just brought up your dad and on the sideline, right? So knowing what you know, right? Like, knowing your dad was involved in the game and you know, like at your games on the sideline with the flags, talking to you as you go up and down, right? Okay. Yeah. So knowing all of that, right, and know how you felt, you know what I'm gonna say, right?
Yeah. I know.
So knowing that and knowing how you felt,
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Why? Yeah. Why are you repeating the same thing that
your dad did? See, it's twofold. It's twofold.
Okay.
For one, whatever y'all see me do is nowhere close to my dad. I want y'all to know that. Nowhere close. So in my mind, I'm already doing way better. I want y'all to know that. Don't judge me. I'm breaking the curse. Step number one. All right, doing it. All right. Now, number two, my father grew up in Grenada, so he played soccer out in the streets and stuff like that, in the neighborhood, whatever. But he never played. You see what I'm saying? He never played for no team, nothing like that. It's not like he grew up studying the game on TV. They didn't have TV, right? They listened, right? They became Manchester United fans or Liverpool fans because those were the only two teams they were able to actually, like, hear on the radio. So my judgment as far as listening to him, for one, was a little bit cloudy as a kid because it's like, what do you know? Right? Part of it was like, come on, bro, what do you really know? Right? And it was like, he didn't really have like soccer skill. He did have a soccer IQ though, which I later realized later on in life. But as a kid, it's like, it's not like we ever went outside and played soccer. He passed the ball to me. It was none of that. Mm-hmm. So it was like, it was hard for me to receive what he was saying. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Right? I feel like I know what I'm talking about. But for two, also now, I understand why my dad, even though he was a little bit crazy, I understand why he was like trying to like, yo, come on, man, do it like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do it like this. You're doing it wrong. Because that's, at least when I see my son, that's what I'm saying. It's like, come on, bro. And it's like, if I don't tell you, you're not going to do it. But I get it. It's like, all right, just chill, you know, just chill. But that's from my heart. It's just like, man, if I don't tell him, like, how's he going to know? He needs to know. You know, he's doing it wrong, bro. Like, and I felt like nobody I felt like most of the stuff that I was doing wrong, like nobody really told me how to fix it, right? It might have been like, you did it wrong. Why'd you do that? But it was never like, all right, look, but you did that thing wrong, but this is how you're supposed to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, but I know I'm working on this. Stress.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my little plea for the young man. You know, I mean, the thing
I got you, though.
I'm in this. You know, everybody know I'm in the same situation.
Right.
But I try, like, you know, I try to, you know, to not be as involved in the moment. You know what I mean?
I know I'm working on that. Like we'll tackle it later. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
okay. Tough. It's tough.
No, of course it is. Especially, you know, like what you're saying. It's like, you know, there's a whole thing about, you know, I think Jordan had trouble going to his kids' games, just because
competitive.
Yeah, because you have this competitive nature as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this kid is like an extension of you, and you already been through this, right?
Exactly.
So like it's now I'm giving you all the tools. Like I want you to go ahead and destroy this guy and get busy, you know. And when that's not happening, it creates like like an extreme level of frustration.
Anxiety, all of that.
I trust me, I understand it, but
I also still get a lot of enjoyment though. I still get a lot of enjoyment. It's still a certain level of like unexplained joy though. Still, and I feel like, and that also kind of sparks that anxiety because it's like you see the potential, you see what could be. Yeah. So it's like, oh man, if you just do it like this, like it's gonna be crazy, yo. Just listen. And then my son is like me, like how I was, like just so stubborn, like he doesn't want to hear it, you know. He's like, Dad, shut up, man. He doesn't want to hear it from me. But in my mind, it's like, man, you need to listen to me. It's different. This time it's different. You need to be listening. I had an excuse, you don't.
Yeah. All right. So that you spoke about Romario, and well, actually starting with Pelé and then transition to Romario. But the question I'm gonna ask is, you know this question is coming.
Hey, you good? We have no cards or something, man.
and there's no right answer. I mean, you see how people have been getting at Jason and Alex and all that, right?
Look, just know my answers are my answers, bro. Anybody want to squabble with me on? I'm taking all smoke. Hey, I'm taking all smoke. I don't care.
All right, who's your top 11 footballers of all time?
Okay. All right, it's tricky because I'm letting you know right now, Pele's not on it, right?
Okay.
And Maradona's not on it, even though I understand who they are, right? But I gotta keep it consistent. I gotta keep it a little bit 100 with the people who I saw. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I saw doing what they do. I didn't get a chance to see Pele do it. Maradona, I saw him in, what was that, 94? But he was like on cocaine and then got kicked out. Like, like it wasn't the same. It was like
he wasn't Maradona, the same.
Like it wasn't the same. And I didn't really get to like appreciate him until I started to become a real student of the game and had more access. Like when YouTube was great for me. Yeah. Once YouTube came out, like that's when I was really able to lock in and do a lot of studying. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really started to appreciate Maradona more. But I never really, once again, just got, cocaine Maradona. My father used to tell me he was a big deal, but I'm watching him like, I don't know, he looks a little bit off. So I don't know. His eyes are dilated. I don't know what's going on.
Cocaine
Maradona. So
that could be a little thing, his own thing. Cocaine Maradona.
Like, I don't know what's going on, Dad. Yeah, he looks weird. What's going on with him? So, all right, Romario.
All right.
Ronaldo original. I don't want there to be any discrepancies. I'm upset that a lot of these kids out here don't even know Ronaldo is named after a black dude by the name of Ronaldo. You know what I mean? Ronaldinho, who's also a good friend of mine. We hung out before. I'm gonna have to send y'all that picture. Maybe when I could throw that in the background or something so they can see. I hung out with him. All right, Ronaldinho. Who else on my crew? Brazilians. Dani Alves.
That's cool.
I may come back to the Brazilians. All right. A culture. Just the OG, man. Just the OG. People don't understand. I feel like his impact on the game flew under the radar. A lot of people's favorite dribbler, they don't know. your favorite dribbler, he got that from JJ. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, your Neymar got that from JJ, bro. Ronaldinho, JJ.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So kids need to know that. And I tell my kids, hey, JJ a coach up. YouTube, holler at me tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Who else? Clarence Sadoff. All right, another OG I feel like flies under the radar. And he played till he was like 47 on the low. The oldest mug at Ace. No.
And he's still. Have you seen him?
He's still active.
He's still active.
I'm surprised he's like the fittest. Is he like the fittest soccer player ever?
It's crazy. He's ripped right now. Like it's crazy.
Not playing, man. Yeah, much respect to say though, for real. Much respect, man. Much respect. All right, another groundbreaking individual, Thierry Henry. I feel like what he did was revolutionary. Do I need to defend? I said Danny Alves. You see, I'm sorry, defenders like, yeah. What is that? 7?
Yes.
I got to put Messi in there.
That's 8.
Got to put Messi in there. Controversial, but Andrea Pirlo. I feel like probably the best passer of the ball ever. I don't think anybody had a better range of passing than him. Mm-hmm. How many I got left?
You got 2 more.
Damn, dog. There's somebody I know I'm forgetting. I'm going to be upset. For the culture, I'm throwing Edgar Davies on there for the culture. Mm-hmm. All right. With my man, the swag that he brought, one. Yeah, I don't got to explain, man. Edgar Davies, man. Y'all know. Go watch the commercials, man. Go watch the things, man. Change the game, man. All right, now lastly.
Yeah.
I'm going to cheat. I gotta give you, this is for CONCACAF, right? So this is a representation of how we grew up, right? We saw a lot of MLS. Right? We saw a lot of MLS. Okay? So that was a major influence. So I got to put, in that last slot, I got to give it to 3 CONCACAF players. I'm sorry. I don't care. I got to say Marco Echeverri, Jaime Moreno, Jorge Campos. All those 3 in one.
You know, okay. No, I mean, that's a great list. I mean, I'm sure people are still going to argue, but that's whatever.
That's mine,
but,
yeah. But Jorge Campos, cuz. I said Jorge Campos. Yeah, yes. Google him.
No.
Google
so, you know, the amount of people I've been talking to about Campos. Matter of fact, even, what was it? Thursday, I was talking to, like, some kids. I was like, oh, no, the kids were talking about, you know, they want to be a goalie, but they're too short. I was like, you need to check out Campos. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why everything about him, though, should be a model for goalies in a way. Like, the man was a baller and a goalie. Like, I think the modern game can appreciate that more than maybe like in the early 2000s and 90s, because now you're playing out the back more. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're playing inside the 18 more. You're expecting more out your goalie's feet more. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he was definitely ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah. Incredible.
No.
He played forward. Like, he was a forward goalie. For real. He could do I saw him do both. Yeah. He could do both. Come on, man.
He was a beast.
Special dude, man. And he was swiping the collar up. Come on, man. The collar up. Hey, I know there was that commercial with Eric Cantona where he was like, remember that joint? He popped the collar, he's like, au revoir. And then he shot the ball. I know a lot of people started doing the collar thing, but nah, Jorge Campos was always, that was his whole little swag, man. He had the sick colorful goalie jerseys before colors was even a thing in soccer. Like, revolutionary, man.
No. During his time, he was such a contrast to, you know, Schmeichel or, like, you know, all the German goalies. Like, you know, he's such a contrast. It was like a complete, you know, I mean, he's definitely, I'm sure, you know, if you're into goalies and goalie culture, you have to, and if you don't, well, this is a good opportunity to go do some research. Check out Jorge Campos. No, that's a great list.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back a little to when you played rec. I mean, really with the club with Burtonsville, and then you guys decided to transition.
Because it started rec there, went to travel,
Yeah, and then you then went to from there you went to Rutgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
what was when you went to Rutgers, what was the competition level, right? Like, what was the difference in, what did you notice? Like, what was the first, I know, of course, Rutgers was is a big program. It was Big East at the time.
Right.
And, you talked about the ball being like a real ball, which,
Yeah.
that's something that, is another weird thing, because there's so many. This is what I'm talking about things we take for granted, right? Like, if you never played at a high level, you really, like, that's a good example. Like, you never really even played with a real ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what me and Keith was arguing. It was like, I wasn't trying I wasn't trying to come for him, but it was like, bro, like, what do you know? Like, no offense to Howard, bro, but like, I'm not really
when you hit that ball, the spin, like the spins you can get on, or like these plastic balls.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level.
It's so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's even heavier too, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
It's harder to control that joint. Like, it's harder to control it, for real.
Yes.
I had to readjust. Like, what is this?
That's exactly what it is. It's like if you never, and for some of the larger, the bigger programs, they usually have one real ball, like, meaning like bigger youth programs, right, or clubs or whatever it is,
just for the games.
Yeah, just for the games. So like, especially players that they know they're gonna go to the pro, or know they're gonna go to top college, etc. So they can get used to that, because if you don't, it does take an adjustment period. Like, you might have to really play with that ball during preseason a lot to be able to get your touch and play. But, that's great. But besides that, that's maybe a little jewel for folks who haven't yet.
Right.
And
right.
We
be ready, beware.
Yeah, exactly. But beyond
y'all spending $20 on the ball. Them $20 balls you buying, right? Just know that, right? When you looking in the guy, because I used to study Euro sport back in the day. I managed to get that joint to my house. I'm reading the whole thing, reading the little excerpts about players and all that. So, like, yeah, when you get $20 balls and you see this balls $100, $150, like, yeah, those are the ones that we started. And there's a big difference. That's why that price is.
No, it is. Like, it's a huge difference. But beyond the ball, what else did you notice? What was the difference? Even from the training level, right? Even the training at Rutgers compared to, even when you were at the, your program at Bethesda, you guys were top, you won states, regional, etc.
Yeah.
What was the, like, what did you notice?
So, like what I was saying before, and it was so different. I didn't realize until I got to the pro environment, like, yeah, that was a pro environment. You know what I mean? So, like, the structure, right? The accountability, time, like, that's when I learned, like, so step number one, we used to have practice. We had to be at practice like 7:30 in the morning. We used to have practice, early in the morning before school. So, right, that's when I learned, like, on time is late. Like, he was the first person to tell me that, like, man, if you're if you just get in here.
Ask James. We literally just had this conversation, like, right before this interview started, and I was trying to explain it. But anyway, go.
Yeah, and I apologize. Yeah,
no, that wasn't because of you.
No, I was trying to explain to him part of the reasons why I am the way I am. But anyway, go.
Yeah, but that's when I had learned that, all right, and that didn't make like, what do you mean? I'm late, but yeah, that was that. But the attention to so much other stuff that we never paid attention to in club and other things that it takes to be a successful team. Not just a successful soccer team, but a successful team, right? You got to have a certain level of organization and being on a certain page. So, like, step number one, we used to have meetings. Like, we used to be in preseason having big meetings. I never had a meeting before for soccer. Like, what? We're practicing without the practice. What is going on? I don't understand. Like, we got a binder. He gave us it was like school. It was like soccer class. We got a binder we going through. Like, they had a table of contents in it. I'm laughing like, what's this dude about to? He about to teach us how to play soccer? What's wrong with this dude? You know what I mean? But it was just that level of detailing and care to every little thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, holding yourself accountable, like starting to understand, like just how we grew up, the level of grit that we brought to the game. You never wanted to get beat one-on-one, right? That was just natural how we played. But still, it raised your level of awareness and accountability for everything. Missed passes, a player getting a 1-2 on you, like anything. Because also at Rutgers, we had videotape. So we're doing that too. We watching videotape. You know what I'm saying? We're doing film review. That right there introduced me to that as well. You know what I mean? And like, you want a free kick. Now I'm in the game in college and it's just a free kick. 7-1, also assignments, right? Everything was an assignment, like corner kick plays. You had to know, right? If you're the 7, you're supposed to do something on a corner kick, offensively or defensively. If you're a 9, you had to be at a certain spot and do certain things. So same thing on free kicks, right? You had to be at a certain spot and do a certain thing. So most times if a goal is scored, yeah, something broke down in that plan that we already went over and how to do it. So you're watching that on film. So when you're watching on film, and it happened to me one time, my man scored on a free kick. You know what I mean? Or not only did he score, just I got a header off. And he blazed me in front of everybody. You know what I mean? For the whole team. And it was like, from that point, it always just had me being an extra level of awareness on the field. Like big brother's always watching. Somebody is watching. You know what I mean? Just those details. We did so much more. I grew up doing a lot of like possession type of stuff and a lot of stuff just free flowy, you know what I mean? And I'm just working on my dribble all day long in practice. Dribble. That's all I wanted to do. You get there and now we're doing pattern play. Like we might spend the whole time doing pattern play, right? Which was the most boring thing in the world to me, but I didn't appreciate it and understand it till later on, right? But yeah, those are definitely some of the major things. And then obviously the amount of people, I had never been in a practice that had like 30-something people before, right? Yeah. Maybe 40 kids we had. Every practice was like a soccer camp, you know? So that level of competition day in and day out. Now I was used to that because at Bethesda, all of us were good. You know what I mean? Like at Bethesda, we used to joke around, a couple of us, we used to call ourselves the Bethesda All-Americans because we had 3 guys on our team that were All-Americans, like me, our goalie Billy Childs, and the guy by the name of Brian Yee, right? We're all Americans in high school. So we had a lot of talent on that team, right? So we were used to like fight day in and day out, but still there were some guys who still weren't up to par with others. But at Rutgers, it was like everybody could legit play, like from top to bottom. Like there was nobody that you just kind of, you know, this guy here, like nah, like even that guy here, you know what I mean, could play. And when I first got there, it's crazy. I was this guy here, you know what I mean? Like that's how much I didn't even realize I'm like, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but you know, swapped it out. And then, yeah, by the time the weekend came, you know what I'm saying? I'm the first guy off the bench for that first, for our first scrimmage. And then we played Indiana, where the time was like defending national champs. I scored against them. And then I started to kind of do better and move forward. But at the beginning, like, yeah, I was at the bottom of the pack. And I wasn't used to that and had to fight all the way up to the top. But yeah, like I said, first time really being in the professional environment for sure.
So to add on that, I'm just gonna forward, right? So now you are Crystal Palace. So what was the difference from college and Crystal Palace then, like quality and players as well now? Was it the same?
Right. So now, so Palace was another tricky experience because it was a startup team, right? It wasn't an organization that already had a history. It already had a set of ways and practices and methods and things like that. So we went through a lot of growing pains, a lot of dysfunctionality because there was so much trying to figure things out. You know, we had to go through those lumps, like day in and week in and month out, season out, as far as things like that. But my first time kind of being in there with guys who do this, you know what I'm saying? You hopping in with veterans. At the time, I used to think 30 was like, you a grandpa. You know what I'm saying? I look at dudes who's 30, 31, like, geez, bro, like, how'd you get up this morning, dog? You know what I mean? So you're on guys like that now who done played pro 10 years. You know what I mean? They're a whole veteran. And they just had a different, it's a whole nother world. Once again, like when I got to college, it was like, wow, this is a whole new set of soccer, right? I didn't even know soccer could be this fast and this physical. Boom, you take a step up to the pros and it's like, wow, you know, I didn't know like it could be like this. Like you see some guys who could really play doing things that you didn't see before, just little nuances that you get from getting paid to play soccer, you know what I'm saying, for a long time. It's just a different level of IQ and this a different attitude. You know what I mean? When you got guys with kids on the team and they're feeding their kids, you know what I mean? It's a lot more. It's a lot of different attitudes. Less jokes. There was a lot of joking around out there, but still, like, so me and Alex used to get in trouble a lot for that because we didn't understand like that level of like, okay, you got to be serious. Like this is for real, bro. It's not for play. You know what I mean? Like Crystal Palace ended up going bankrupt. So it's like, it's not for play. Like people's jobs are on the line. People's families are on the line. Like people's kids are relying on this thing to go well so that they get food. and me and Alex like just skipping in the wind like we happy to be here, bro. You know what I mean? Like we didn't certain things we didn't get. Like why y'all so serious? What's the big deal? So those things it was yeah. We used to get in trouble a lot for quote unquote not being professional. That was the word. So and this may sound cliche, but I'll explain it a little bit. Being in the pros, I learned to be a pro, right? I learned what it means to be a professional, right? To have a professional approach, and then also understanding that how you carry yourself. If you have that Crystal Palace jersey on, but even outside of that, everything you do now, like when you're signed to that team, like the money is on the line. You can't be out in the street acting on any type of way that can affect the money, right? Every little thing that you do, you're under the microscope. How you dress, how you talk, how you walk, how you act, what you say. And once again, we just didn't really understand that. So we used to kind of butt heads with upper management a lot. And then we was always told like that we weren't good professionals, that we didn't understand it. But then now I understand it. And what that really means is just like that professional approach, just that level of awareness of like, just how like at the job place, if you have a job and you're expected to dress a certain way and, you know what I'm saying, tuck your shirt in your pants, and it would be the equivalent of those things that I kind of had to learn like, oh, okay, that matters. Okay, that matters too. All right, that matters as well. Yeah, definitely. That was a major adjustment. Being more of a pro, being more disciplined, and that right.
Yeah.
Yep. So you played at Crystal. You got some injuries. Got additional responsibilities, and had to figure some things out. But of course, you stayed. With the game being one of your major loves, but you transitioned more into the coaching side. So coaching high school, you mentioned, and then you've been coaching various clubs, etc. And recently, one of the clubs that you've been coaching, you guys, got an opportunity. You played in this prestigious.
Hold on, I got to pick some up. Hold on, I dropped something.
There you go.
Hold on.
Yeah, wait, don't come back up yet.
I got it.
You got it.
I found it. Yeah,
You found it. All right, that was good. You played in, this prestigious tournament, which is called the Dallas Cup in the U.S. And you guys won. You won the tournament. Which is it's a big deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to say it's the first time a team from Maryland has won, right? Is that true?
It's second time. I think it was the second time, third time in the area. Oh, no, third time from Maryland. But at the time, before that day, only one team in Maryland had won like a long time ago. And then it just so happened that the game right before ours, the U17 final, featured Baltimore Armor. With some other team, and Baltimore Armor ended up winning, so they became second, and then we became the third. So yeah, we both kind of made a little history in that day.
Nice, yeah. So, what I want to get into is, there's things come full circle in a lot of ways, right? So you play on the Burnsville team. It was a bunch of you guys, a lot of your friends, not a lot of resources. There wasn't a lot of resources, but you guys were balling, etc. And then at some point, you hit a fork in the road and folks left, and when. So you never really knew what could have been with the Burnsville team, right? With this, with these guys, they all stayed, from young.
For the most part. Yeah, for the most part. I'll let you finish the way.
Yeah. Okay, the majority of them stayed. And kept with it, etc. And you guys been developing, etc. And then now, at U18, you win this prestigious, trophy. So just a couple of things. One, just talk us through that process of, what you notice in the development or the cohesion, like what it took to get a cohesive team. And get to the point where you guys are able to compete at the national elite level and win at the national elite level. So, what are some of the things that it took? What are Yeah, it's just I mean, reflect on it. Reflect on that whole, that process, the tournament.
Right.
Let us know.
Right. Yeah. 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 A long journey, like you said, it came full circle to touch on that. Because and I tried to explain that to those guys several times in the past. I would kind of give them some
Larry, not
history
to cut
about,
you off. Not to cut you off. What's the name of your club?
Future Soccer Club.
Oh, good, cool.
Yeah, Future Soccer Club. So I kind of try to explain them the history, some of my origins and things like that, and then how soccer in this era of history, the guys who kind of came before them. But definitely the night of the finals, right, I wanted to, put the boys in the room and kind of rehash that, try to break that down, and told them kind of what you were saying, like, look, man, my group, we tried to kind of, fly the skies and get that high, but it couldn't happen. We were not able to soar that high. And one of the reasons why we weren't able to soar that high is, right, we wasn't able to kind of keep that collective group together, right? And it's right, crazy as it is, right? I was part of that because I left, right? But there's several reasons as to why I left, right? Why that group wasn't able to stay together, right? And that's why me understanding what happened then, I was such an advocate, right, for players staying and parents not leaving to join those bright lights. Like I told y'all, right, when it's time for me to be a pro, I didn't have most kids get to the next level because of a path that a coach kind of lined for them, right? They was kind of lining things up for them, right? Making phone calls, whatever, lining things up in such a way for them to be successful. I didn't have any coaches lining up anything, right? So that's why that story of Rome and that conversation and him letting us know, hey, brother, this is trial up here. It's free. Anybody can come, right? That's why that's so major because, all right, that's all I could do to get on, right? I didn't have nothing lining up. So I went, right? I leave to go for brighter lights. It looked good in the beginning, right? I get to Rutgers. And I credit, like I said, it's one of the best things in my life. I credit it because of what I learned from it along my journey, right? But the best thing would have been if we could have stayed together as a club, right, to be able to keep going. So we've lost people, right? That's why I said the majority of them stayed, but now we definitely lost players, right? We definitely lost players. And to those parents, I urged and begged them, don't do that. It's gonna kind of hurt your child later on in the end. Just trust us, right? Tell them to trust us, trust me, trust the other coaches with me, right? Trust us, trust this process. We have your kids' best interests at heart. So step number one, what you see there is the result of that process, right? And the trust and those parents, okay, and keeping their kids with us. Now, it has been a journey, right? An extreme journey, right? I personally came on with the club about 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I had this vision in my mind for what they could have been. I knew what Burtonsville kind of looked like. I knew the guys who I came up with, right? A lot of guys that I knew how we played and what, our style and what that kind of brings to the table. So that was always my vision as far as what I was doing for the team. That was always my vision and like getting them to that point because I knew the potential of what it could be, right? Because I know the guys that I was around, right? And what we could do, what they could do, things like that. But once again, none of us was ever able to put it all together. Even with Cab and his efforts to kind of pull a lot of us at older stages of our life, U23 things and men's amateur stuff, or even our own little efforts, right? When we did, little indoor stuff, or I know Mike, you came on before, like little co-ed stuff, like even our own efforts, it's like, still, we never really reached the full potential of what we could have really did. You know what I mean? But I always saw like what we could have did. So that vision was always in my mind, like, oh, the sky is the limit, right? But we had it all to do, right? We had it all to do. We had a lot of things to work out with individuals, with the culture as a team, right? Future Mark Langen, great guy, right? Great guy, but not a soccer guy, right? He learned soccer along the way, right? His kids started to play. He learned it along the way, but there was still a lot of things missing, right? When I came in there, right? So we had a lot to do as far as changing that culture, right? A lot of the parents weren't travel team cultured parents, right? They didn't come from a culture of travel soccer, right, as kids or maybe even before Future. All they knew was Future, and just like how Burnsville was, they started rec and then worked their way up. So just like Burnsville, we had to learn along the way and have these little growing pains. But because I had already been through that, you know what I mean? I kind of knew certain things. And then also, I'm sorry, I got my nieces in the background screaming like bloody murder. Just kind of threw me off for a second.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I was saying, that journey. And then so 2 years ago in EDP, not last, the spring before COVID, we lost every game of the season. Every game of the season we lost because there was a culmination of everything I was telling you about. There was a lot of things that just wasn't right in the club as a culture. There was a lot of things that wasn't right with the parents, the players, things that we had to improve as coaches. And we lost every game. And I remember when we got to that point, we had a conversation with the parents, right? And a lot of parents are disgruntled, you know. They want to leave. They want this. They want that. And sat there in front of them. I mean, they were ready to kind of throw stones at us, you know what I mean? And try to, like, blame us for everything. And hey, you know, I was ready to stand tall and be like, nah, man, nah. This is the problem. This is what needs to be changed. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, you can leave. But these are the things that need to be done. I remember kind of almost getting into with certain parents during the meeting, almost where I was worried, like, man, did I go too far? Like, you know. But we kind of got on the same page. And those parents who, you know, I had those words with, they ended up understanding. And from that point, I remember me and the other coach, we were like, look, man, at this point, whoever stays, perfect, right? Because now they riding with us. They all in. And then whoever leaves, perfect. At that same time, there was a gentleman, right, who was trying to steal players from our team. And he ended up doing so, right? He was trying to create a whole nother team, like with our team at the same time. Yeah, it was crazy, right? And the thing is, I went through that at Burtonsville. So I missed that. I didn't explain that part of the story. That would have made that story even more long-winded, right? But originally in our rise in Burtonsville, we had an original little genesis where a lot of players, or exodus, whatever you want to call it, a bunch of people left, where players left and went to Bethesda, right? So Bethesda started to win, and my age group went on to win State Cup and regionals before our whole little super merger earlier, because they had a baby merger earlier with some of the players from our team, some of the white because like I said, I told y'all, whatever, we keeping it straight. Told y'all the coach, Brandon's father, started telling people, hey, guys, I think I should get paid. The white parents didn't want to pay him, all right? Tell you like it is, right? We had a handful of white kids on there. They didn't want to pay. And my mom was letting them know, like, because once again, my mom being the person that kind of came to him like, yo, start this team. And she wanted it for us, even though we're not going to be racist. Like, if you could play, cool, you white, cool. But she started it for, you know, kids that look like us to have opportunities. So she let them know, the parent mean, like, look, if y'all don't like it, y'all can roll. Right, because at the time there were certain parents who was trying to get Brandon's father out so that they could coach, because they felt like, well, we're not gonna pay you, you know, we'll just do our thing. And then that's how they went to Bethesda, and that's how Bethesda first, you know, started to take off. So it's kind of crazy how we all ended up kind of reuniting later on. But anyway, I'm saying all to say, I already went through that as a kid, so I kind of saw what that looks like. So I saw the signs of what the dude was doing when he was trying to steal a team and do that move too. So he tried, but he was still unsuccessful, but he still took like 4 players with him. All right, so I'm just saying all to say we went through all of that. So you would have thought that it would have kind of just ruined our team, but it was exactly what we needed, because it got rid of all the non-believers. Yeah. You know what I mean? And for you to do anything special like what we did, you got to have a group that believes. You got to. And I remember before going out there, I can't remember. I think I was watching Last Chance U. I don't know if I know about Last Chance U on Netflix. You know, I watch all stuff like that. You know, I like watching anything like that as a coach. And the coach was saying, like, man, you'll be surprised at what you could do when you got a group of boys that believes. When everybody believes, you'll be surprised at what y'all can do. And I don't know why, the whole time from the beginning of Dallas, that whole thing was just in my brain. It was just in my brain the whole time. I don't know why. And them boys really grew up, like, so they've been having a period of maturation and like, so we saw all these things, right? At 13 and 14, like their voice cracking a little bit, voice getting a little deeper. Now they send a little more cuss words on the field. You know what I mean? Talking more trash. Now they getting taller. Like I remember one day making jokes in practice, looking up, like all of a sudden every dude on our team was like 6 feet. Like overnight, like all y'all 6 feet. But we had to go through that. A lot of them were getting clumsy. Their touch was getting sloppy because they were growing. Right, people in high school now, girls, all these other little things that were like constant, like talks and talks and talks and talks. I used to be at practice talking. My parents used to get mad, like, y'all taking so long talking. But it was like all these little things that we were trying to iron out all the way. And I swear to you, it was like a week before Dallas, right? It was like just kind of recognizing something like, hold on, man, these dudes just kind of turned the corner. Like, we were always waiting on it, but it was like a week before Dallas. It was like a certain just level of awareness and just raised in their brain where so much stuff that we had been telling them and drilling in their heads for so long, finally it clicked, right? And then that's when we kind of added another piece to our tactics, right, which we couldn't really do before because we didn't really have that level of like locked in and awareness and just and focus on the field, right? So now we were like, okay, maybe now we can kind of implement this kind of like more applying more pressure to teams and, you know, just being a little bit more high octane. Whereas before when we would try to do that, things would get broken down, right? Just not pressing teams intelligently enough, right? So it was literally a week before Dallas when we were like, you know what, let's go ahead and try. Maybe they're ready to actually learn how to really apply this press in the other team's half like that. And I remember telling the other coach, like, look, bro, we're not going to call it a press, though. Because if we call it a press, like, it'll be running all crazy once again, being stupid like before. So we just got to say, like, this is how we're defending when we lose the ball, like, in their half. So we rolled it out, like, literally the week before Dallas. And momentum, I don't know, it was making sense to them. It was clicking. And every day, they literally got better every day when we were out there. And then not only were they getting better on the field, like, them boys was really growing up. Like, in that week, they really grew up. Just for one, just making that major trip. A lot of them, their parents weren't there, right, because of COVID and stuff like that. So a lot of the parents weren't there. But they formed a certain bond that we had never seen before, you know. I remember we used to always question back in the day, like, yo, how cool are y'all with each other? Like, y'all swear y'all knew each other your whole life, but you know, you're not helping your man out on the field. You know, your man make a run to the field, you don't go join him in attack. Or your man in the corner, right, having trouble with somebody, you don't go down there to help him, to help defend. You know, like little things like that. He falls down, you don't pick him up. Like, what's up with that? Like, we always used to kind of question their camaraderie. But somewhere in that week, like, because there's a lot of time that you have in Dallas, right? You got one game a day maybe, right, and a lot of downtime. So within that downtime, not only did they grow, but they got wiser. You know, they're taking ice baths. You know, all the things we talked about as far as the proper food to eat that, you know, parents didn't believe before. You know, they didn't take serious. Now they're taking it serious, right? We used to have issues with kids going playing split splashing in the pool during tournaments. And always told them don't do it. Now they took it serious. It was like all the things finally in 1 week, they just did everything right. They did everything right. I remember calling the kid like, yo, I'm about to come down, everybody to have a meeting. He was like, when I called him, he's like talking on the phone, shivering. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? He's like, I'm in the middle of an ice bath, coach. I'm gonna call you back. And I'm like, that's what's up. That's what I mean. Those little things were like, they were growing up because they really wanted to win. Yeah. Like once I guess once we kind of smelt it, like, yo, we might be able to do this. Everybody was doing their part to make sure that they were doing their best, you know? So that was a major thing. And that's one of the things that I learned as a coach. When you have a group and you're trying to do major things, it's bigger than just what y'all are doing on the field. It's bigger than just like how good are you guys at soccer, right? And that's what I said I learned from being at Rutgers from that coach was the importance of when you're a good team and the different components of being a good team. Because my coach at Rutgers, he didn't even play soccer. Right? He was an ex-track guy. Now, this is one of the reasons why we butt heads, back to how my mind works. I told you, like, I'm stubborn, so it's hard for my father to kind of tell me stuff. It's like, bro, you didn't even play. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here. But this dude at Rutgers, even though he was a big-time coach and had, you know, big-time players in World Cups like Alexi Lalas and stuff like that, and big-time Adidas guy, still, once we realized, like, hold on, you never played. So, you know, you see, like, you can't even play. You never played. Like, it was hard for me to just receive this information. You know, but later on, I respected it more because it's like, wow, this dude who didn't even play soccer, right? Yeah. He did have some success, and that was why his approach to it, his level of organization, you know, how he put things together. So I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind, but I learned that for sure at Dallas. You know, like, once again, you got a group of kids who believe, man, that's how you definitely kind of overachieve. But I definitely wouldn't say we overachieved, though, because we were the best team out there. And I'm not just saying that because you know, our coaching, but we were the best team out there. But they overachieved in the sense of the level of maturity and things like that. They were never that mature before that week. None of those kids were that mature before that week, but they grew up that week.
So out on that, Larry, so what was it like, how, especially winning the Dallas Cup, right? What does it mean to you? And what does it mean to the club, a future club? And then what does it mean to especially like most of those kids are from PG County, right? What does it mean to PG County?
Man, a real big deal, man. Honestly, Dallas Cup was always a target for us for a minute. Like, we want to get the Dallas Cup, we want to just get there. Remember, there was the season, we lost every game of the season, right? So when that happens, it was like, that kind of messed up our chances of getting the Dallas Cup, bro. Like, I don't know. So, and then I remember when we found out, okay, we got in, it was that level of, we felt like, man, we made it just because we got in to Dallas Cup, right? We're thinking like, bet, what an experience now we're going to be able to show these kids, right? We told the parents to trust us. Now look what we're doing for them. We're getting their kids the Dallas Cup. What a great experience. You know what I mean? I played the Dallas Cup one time in high school. You know, Dallas Cup was always like the boogeyman tournament. But that's what we would do normally would go to Brazil, right? So we went to Brazil my junior year, right, to do a whole thing down there during that Easter time. So we didn't do Dallas Cup. And then my senior year, we were supposed to go back, right? But that was during the whole 9/11 fiasco. So it wasn't advised for Americans to be traveling abroad. So we didn't go to Brazil that year. So I ended up guest plans. A team asked me to Coach Robbie out there, and shout out to Coach Robbie in Vasco. I think his name popped up on here. I asked Jason and them played for. And I want to touch on that real quick. My bad, not to be long-winded, because I remember Jason was talking about how Coach Robbie pulled up to Tacoma, right, and kind of pulled them real quick. Them dudes were supposed to come to Burnsville, bro. I remember that. Coach Robbie pulled the mean bait and switch, right? Like, it was like Jerome. It was Jerome, Chidi, Jason. Jerome, Jason, and Chidi were all supposed to come to Burnsville, right? And I remember it was supposed to be like a package deal. They were all supposed to come. But Robbie showed up. Like, this is what Jason doesn't know, because like he kind of said, like, these transfers were being done above their head. So like the transfer was already done. Like, they were supposed to come over with us. Robbie shows up to Tacoma, and I remember hearing about it like, oh, okay, they're supposed to come. I'm being hyped, like, bet. And then they didn't come. I remember getting a call like, what? What you mean? Who? Did what? Oh, no, man, nah. Like, you know. So that's also one of the reasons why Burnsville never kept going. If Jason, Jerome, and they come to Burnsville at that time, Burnsville stays. Like, we don't break up. We go on. Burnsville wins state cup and regionals. And then, you know what I'm saying, maybe we win Dallas Cup. But you know what, Jason? Thanks, bro, for doing that, because now it's cool. I dropped something. So now that happened. You know what I'm saying? So now that happened.
Yeah, Larry, hold on. I know. Hold on, before we go any further, you should definitely consider comedy.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, funny, man.
Yeah, at least even just writing for comedy.
Man, funny, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you should consider it.
Hey, man, they got the check. I'm with it, man. They got the check. I'm with it. But damn, I forgot your question. I feel like I was going somewhere good. James, what was your question?
So, I mean,
you remember what your
Dallas Cup? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to future?
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's a good question. Right. So step number one, right? That's the point that I was trying to make. Like, hey, originally we didn't even have the intentions. Like, yeah, we about to go out there and win it for the people. Like, nah, it was like, look, bro. Hey, we made it. That's what's up, bro. Y'all, hey, go out there, do your thing. Like, y'all better play good. You're gonna get smashed. Like, it's Dallas. Like, because once again, like, they didn't have that level of maturity. They always had the potential, but they weren't doing the things that they could do until like right before we got down there, right? And then also, you know, injuries, stuff like that. Finally, like, things just kind of lined up for us. So once we do that, right, and then now coming back home, you realize how big it is. Now, when we're there, right, I was having some problems with my phones right before I left. I got 2 phones. Both of them got smashed up right before I left. So I was only in communication with a little bit amount of people, right? So it's like a big group chat with a lot of my boys and stuff that I wasn't even communicating in that group chat the whole time, right? So as Dallas is going along, it's like, oh, okay, hold on. We might be able to do this, right? And I'm texting a couple of people, texting Keith. I think I was texting Jason. We kind of talking, you know, Danny Butler, like, keeping up with, you know, how the game's going. And I'm like telling them, I'm like, hey guys, like, I don't think they're ready for us. You know what I'm saying? When I say us, I mean our team, but also us as in like how we do things, right? How us, right? The DMV ballers, how we play ball, how we do things. Yeah. It's like, yo, man, they might not be ready, guys. I'm not sure, but they might not be ready as the week is going along. And it's like, Now, what I didn't realize was a level of excitement and momentum was building up here. I didn't realize, like, they're spreading the word to everybody in the group chat. And then now, all of a sudden, we get to the semis, and I'm like, hey, yo, we in the semis. And now, dude, they're getting real hype. Like, man, y'all got to win it. Y'all got to win it, man. Y'all got to bring it back home. Y'all got to bring that. So then that's when it's like, whoa. Then also, I didn't know till I got out there that the finals was going to be on ESPN. I didn't know that. I get there, and then the other coach is like, oh, yeah, you know, we get to the finals on ESPN. But it's still like, oh, that would be cool, but whatever, right? But now as we watching it unfold, and it's like, yo, these kids is playing like this, right? But once again, Dallas was like the boogeyman. You hear so much about it. You know, it's still like, all right, well, this one team here, like maybe they'll be, you know, okay, well, maybe this one team. And then now it's time to play the first FC Dallas. And it's like, all right, well, this is FC, big bad FC Dallas. So, you know, so after we beat that first FC Dallas team, you know, I'm looking around like, I think we could really do this. I think we could really do this. We can really do this. That was in the quarters, right? The night before the game, like I was telling y'all, I go in there and explain it to the fellas, like, kind of a big deal. No pressure on y'all, though, because to me, you guys have already won, right? Just the fact that we got here, we're on ESPN tomorrow, right? For who knows, the world to see, right? An all black and brown squad on TV, y'all have already won. That's why I told them. Because in my mind, I'm like, man, two things. One, that's crazy inspiration to anybody who just randomly tunes in, doesn't even know what's going on. They just tune in. It's like, oh, snap. All these black dudes is on here? Whoa. You know what I'm saying? You never know what little kid is going to see that and be inspired. But then again, just understanding the levels to this, right? Understanding the decades behind this. That's why I explained, you know, my story starts abroad, right? Starts in Trinidad, starts in Grenada, because I understand the impact of, you know, like what my uncle did right here in DC, and what, like, you know, the Botchways did, and Keith's father and everybody else who was from that era, right? How that led into our era, right? Or the kids that was older than us when we was coming up, and then how our era led into the next era. Like I gave y'all the example about the Matha. That's why I threw that in there, because before my era got to the Matha wasn't really doing much in soccer, and same thing, their team was full of white kids. My era comes, it's full of black kids, one of the top high school programs in the nation, right? So I'm trying to explain to them, right, what's building up and how many people came before them but never got the chance to reach this high, right? But y'all are reaching this high because of the people who kicked down doors and was trying so hard before y'all, right? And yeah, for them to go ahead and do that, like I said, I'm just kind of just anticipating it. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm like, yo, y'all, this could be a big deal just for people to see it. But the way that them boys went out and played how they played and did it how they did it, I didn't see that coming. And the response from that, as much people who was excited, I didn't see that coming. One, I didn't think that many people were going to tune in. And I didn't know if that many people felt that passionately about it as I did. So the calls that I got from the boys that I came up with to call me and be like, yes, dog. Yes, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Like people telling me thank you. You know what I mean? I had a talk with Coach Tucker, right? And he told me how proud he was, how great it was to see that. You know, he told me he wants to eat healthy to make sure he stays alive long enough to see where these boys go on, because he wants to see them play at the next level. So for me, that meant everything, right? Because that was one of my OGs, right? That was one of my mentors, right? Mr. Tucker was one of the guys who was always trying to make sure, you know, he did his part to help me in my journey, right? When I was on ODP, him and rest in peace to Curtis Landy, you know what I mean? Those are the guys that was kind of having my back, you know. Coach Tucker was the guy, hey, son, keep dribbling. He just randomly, he was like this shaman that would just pop up randomly at my ODP game. I could be anywhere in the country. All of a sudden, I just hear a voice on the sideline, keep dribbling, son. I'm like, what, Coach Tucker, what? You're here? You know what I mean? And then it would help. I'm like, man, okay, stick to my skills. You know what I mean? So to hear him say that, it's like that whole progression. He's proud because now he feels like his work was not in vain. Yeah. Because for a lot of us, we never really we've had all successes in our own rights, but this area hasn't got the true success that it deserves. Because how now the DMV area, because of Kevin Durant, his efforts, like now the DMV is getting that recognition in basketball as, okay, it's a soccer hub. Let's turn this light on, right? Mm-hmm. The DMV area is a soccer hub. They finally get that stamp where it used to only be New York would get that love, or LA would get that love, Chicago would get that love. Now GMV is getting thrown in that conversation to get that love. Man, in soccer, I'll be real with you, man. I mean, I've been all over the world. I've been all over the world playing ball. And I feel like the DMV should get that same respect, not even just in the country, but in the nation. I feel like the DMV, certain things got to get put into place properly so that we can continue to really get the best out of what we had to offer. But this could easily be a hotbed, man, for soccer in the world. So for me, step number one, for me, that's what that showed me, right? We did that. Hey, man, DMV can't be stopped, because if you listen to that game, the announcer even says it, right? We kind of came out of nowhere, but the announcer says it like, we're okay, Future Soccer Club coming up against FC Dallas, known for producing their world-renowned talent. Yeah. They said FC Dallas makes world-renowned talent. Yeah, I had to say that twice because just to let that sink in and why that's such a big deal. So, Mr. Announcer, sir, you're saying FC Dallas produces world-renowned talent. So then what are we doing then? Because y'all wasn't close to us. FC Dallas wasn't close to us, right? We produce world-renowned talent. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it was the stamp, like the battles that me and my boys went through, like the arguments that me and Alex used to go through kind of Crystal Palace, right? You know, like we used to be up there like always trying to put on for our fellas. Tell them about, man, we got talent. Like Alex used to always argue with them dudes about going to Howard. You know, they didn't respect Howard and Howard being a program. Alex was always arguing like, nah, man, please. We got ballers. A lot of y'all couldn't survive. They did this and the other. Laughing stock, right? Things like that. Coach Tucker definitely doesn't get his proper respect in the soccer community. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us, right, we're getting laughed at, right? Well, you guys are crazy. What are you talking about? Right? But what people don't understand is, right, the powers that be in American soccer are doing things that's interfering with our growth, that's interfering with our respect, interfering with our shine. So we're not getting it. And then we can look crazy. It can seem like it's far-fetched, man. What are y'all talking about? Right? So going down there doing that is like, oh, hell yeah. Guess what? We do know what we're talking about. Right? Guess what? Y'all not rocking with us. And that was the vibe that I was getting, you know what I mean, from the people that was like, hell yeah, man. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we on one, bro. We on one out here. Like, we're actually doing the right things. We're on the right path, right? I come back, all of a sudden now, you know, getting phone calls from different MLS clubs. And it's a real conversation that I had from a guy in the Kansas City organization. I think he's the director of development, I think was his title, but he's pretty much like a scout and is responsible for them loading the talent on their academies and their whole organization, right? And for one, he couldn't believe how good we were, couldn't believe like how we were just under the radar for so long, right? Couldn't believe how we kept our players. He's like, how come people they want to steal your players? I said, yeah, you know, people took away, but these are the ones who reap the benefits of staying. But he kept saying things like, man, your style of play, I'm just so impressed. I'm so amazed at y'all style of play, how y'all played. You know what I mean? He's like, everybody else plays this kind of like nonchalant, side-to-side style of play, but y'all are going right at people, beating people one-on-one. It was so great and entertaining to watch. And in my mind, it's like, dude, like, if y'all like that style of play, then why don't y'all coach it? I don't understand. Like, if that side-to-side stuff you're taught, that's what y'all are coaching. You see what I'm saying? But the powers that be, you know what I mean? Like, soccer in this country is such a hype beast. It's such like a big PR marketing move. Everything is just PR marketing. It's not actual real soccer and development. It's just like this big PR firm that changes names around, changes schemes, does certain little commercials and certain things so that people think progress is being made, but it's not. And that's what is so hilarious, because it's like, look, at Future, we had 3 teams we practice on one field. Right? Our 03s, 02s, 06s. One field. One field. All right, you go down to FC Dallas. One park has 30 fields in it. All right, we went to like 2 parks that had 30 fields in it that is like for FC Dallas. Right? We have 3 teams, 1 field. Right? Hey, guess what coaching license I have, guys? All right. Guess what coaching license my other coach who coaches with me on Future, and we also coach with me at McNamara. Guess what license he got, right? We call it a G license, bro. We got G licenses, man. See what I'm saying? So, hey, I don't know. You look over at FC Dallas, I'm sure every one of them dudes got AB, 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 AB. You know what I mean? Like, that's
G
all I kept thinking
license.
about. Like, I don't have one.
G license.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it means to me, bro. Something's broke. Something in this country broke, bro. Something's broken.
Yeah.
3 teams, 1 practice field.
Oh my God.
2 days a week. We're not no academy. No 3-4 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Coaches don't. Hey, another joke with me. Me and Mark, the other coach, we split a check. Yeah, we split that. So what one coach will be making, dog, we split that. Come on, bro. Something's broken, man. Something's broken. So that means everything just so that, right? It's just a little, you know, a little kick in the kisser. You know what I'm saying? To American Soccer, like, hey, I don't know what y'all are doing, buddy, but we're coming. The D&D is coming, bro. The D&D is coming, dog.
It is.
Oh, Larry. Okay. Let me go back a little bit.
Yeah, G license. Y'all like that? Yeah, y'all can steal that. Y'all can steal that, man. Damn licenses, man.
All right. Here's a question I have though, because you experienced this both as a player and as a coach, right? Which is this, what it happens a lot to, like, any kid with a little bit of talent. I mean, you talked about it, where there's always the poacher, right? And the bigger clubs it's easier to poach. In their view, it's easier to poach than to actually work on development, right? Because development is a long game, right? So, you like you said, you even just with Futures, you've been there for 4 years. Mm-hmm. So it's a long game, right? And then, with other clubs, it's like 7 years, 8 years. I mean, like it takes, it's a long game. And if, with the bigger programs, sometimes the incentives are to kind of get, short-term success. So that's why there's more of a focus on poaching as opposed to development. But my question really though is, being on both sides, right? So you were a kid, and based on decisions made earlier, on your team, led to the weakening of your team. And then, when you saw when a group of the ballers got the offer to go to Bethesda or got poached to go, whatever you want to call it, you guys left and then dissolved that, right? And then when you were a coach with Future, the same thing happened, where. So the question really is, what do you think is the cause of this? Like what I mean, I have a lot of theories about this, but I'm interested to find someone who experienced it, who did it, who made the decision. It could have been a parent decision, but you were a part of the decision. Right. But who did it, who's been on both ends? Because as you know, I've been on the other end. Where as a coach, the players that I'm developing are poached constantly.
Right.
But so what's your, what do you think?
So coach, right. So coaches poach because they can't coach, right? Now, that's a harsh statement, so I'll just break that down, right? Because poaching can be broken down. But the level of poaching at which you're referring to, right, is because coaches, right, want to make money, or clubs want to make money, have success, and don't know how to develop it and do it themselves. And that's just the American way, right? The big money American way. I mean, you look at music industry, right? That's what big time record labels do, right? They're poaching, right? Just going around looking at talent that's already developed and just saying, all right, well, cool, come here to me, because when you come over here to me, now everything you're gonna do the same thing that you already did, someone else already taught you how to do. You just go make me money now. But I'm gonna help you. At least I'm telling you I'm gonna help you, but for real, I just want you to help myself. Right? So that's US soccer, right? US soccer, I don't know who this crew of gentlemen may be, right? This is just my theory. But there's a crew of gentlemen who runs US soccer who is only in it for the interest of themselves, right? However big that crew is, I don't know, right? But to me, that's how it makes sense of all the stupid decisions that are being made that don't really make sense and don't mirror the success, right, that comes from other countries. It doesn't mirror their models, right? because those people are trying to hold the control and the power, right? So, for instance, right, like I said, speaking with, I won't say who said this, right, but speaking with, had conversations with MLS folks, right, and one of the people who I had a conversation with was pretty much saying like, yeah, inviting some players to come out and invited me to come out as well, right? Having an admiration for the program and things like that. And they were saying how important it is to build that relationship with us as a club, because it's like, look, man, we obviously like what y'all are doing as a club, right? Obviously, y'all are doing something right. And we would love to keep this relationship going for the future. But, over here, we know, right, y'all did that, right? Y'all developed the kids, we're not one of those clubs. And we know, and this is what he's saying, we know MLS clubs do this, right? They go take players from situations that were already developed, and then they buy them, whatever, and they label them as a such and such product, right? Whatever MLS organization may be, and it's like, boom, you're a so-and-so product, right? And then now that MLS team, right, they get the credit for it because now that helps them look better, whatever, which in the long run helps to make them money, right? Like I told y'all, them dudes at Bethesda already had that blueprint. That's what surprised me. They did everything. When 86, the old coach, they ran a coup on the coach they had before to get the new coach in. It was like, yo. But remember, they tried to ran the same play, right? Earlier when we was younger at Burtonsville, right? So it's like, this is kind of what a certain type of people do. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how they kind of move on to the next level. It's almost like a boss in a corporation who's stealing ideas from his other employees, right? And then taking credit for it so that his boss gives him the credit and then he can now move up. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing because he doesn't have the ability to do it himself, right? Doesn't have the talent, whatever, the know-how, the IQ to do it himself, and doesn't have the humility, right, to give someone else the credit and pull them up as well. So that's why it's like it's these people at the top who just want all the power and the glory for whatever reason, because there are people in America who can coach. There are kids in America who can play, right? They're just not being in those positions. They're not in those spots. You see what I'm saying? It's like a lot of times, for instance, the pathway to the MLS, a lot of times is like phone calls, right? A lot of times it's not, even in this process right here, right? I'm getting calls from guys, MLS teams, who didn't even see us play, right? But it's just off of hype now. They heard from somebody else, or they don't want to miss out on a hot thing. So now, like, I know when I'm having conversations with coaches who really saw us play on our genuine fans, and coaches who didn't see us play and is like trying to pretend like they saw us play. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a sad thing, but it comes down to the fact that a lot of coaches in America don't know how to develop players, and that's from the grassroots level to the high school level, the collegiate level, and the professional level. I mean, everything, college, right? Especially college, right? Because these college coaches are trying to eat, right? It's like they're putting all of their trust in a bunch of kids, right, to do things the right way so that they can eat, right? And that's what I try to explain it to the kids who I train up going to college, because that's what I didn't understand. Like, there's like a difference there's a difference in the vibe and the difference in certain things once you get to college, because it's like now the money's on the line. Because now this coach that you're playing for, his job is built around what you do, because he decided to trust you. He decided to give you money, right? Somebody else's money, right? So it's like there's so much more on the line now. And the thing is, so these college coaches are just poachers too, right? They're just looking for the top talent to come in there. When you get to college, yo, I don't care who you are, man. I don't want to name drop names, but you get to college in America, that big time coach, that college national championship winning, that multiple college national championship winning coach, it's not about to make you a better player. He about to bring you in there, shuffle you into a system that's going to get him paid. If it doesn't work, he's going to spit you out, bring the next one in this, spit you out. So, I mean, that's how our model is built. And unfortunately, though, the rich get richer and the product is still is what it is, and then we don't qualify for World Cups. I mean, that's the result, bro. That's the result.
Man, I mean, that's fact.
So the Costa Ricas, right? The Costa Ricas and all those countries, they bet those are the guys who's benefiting from it. You know what I'm saying? Because they coming over here, they coming to our colleges, doing all little things like that, coming into our academies, and then they going back to their country. They had no money, no nothing anyway. So all the stuff we doing here is just making CONCACAF better. It's not really making us better. And that's what they didn't realize. You know what I'm saying? All that, y'all just made your competition better, and now they knocking y'all out. But, hey, what do I know, man? I dropped some. My bad.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't even know what to go with this guy.
Hey, and that's one of the reasons why I love that for out there. I'm joking around to keep, like, because, you know, we all got our different little opinions of how things should be done and this, that, and that. Especially in America, that's like the wild, wild west of what's right. What's the right way?
Right.
And everybody's like, I know. Everyone, I know. Who knows? Hey, all I know is this, I'm glad I don't have to argue as much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cool, bro. Hey, whatever. It's $1 cup, dog. I don't know. Do what you want, dog. Do what you want. You're right. You got it, dog. Fine. I'll just be over here for the $1 cup. You got it.
All right. Oh man. Yeah. It's too much. Okay. What would you say has been your biggest challenge, especially in your current role as a football coach? What has been your biggest challenge?
The parents. Yeah, the parents. For sure. Like, it's funny. I was just having a conversation with one of the parents a couple nights ago about that. Like, I just now, because of this, feel more comfortable talking to parents now, right? Because before, and not, I didn't get a chance to finish what you were saying as far as the poaching. Parents allow their kids to get poached because they don't know any better, right? Especially black kids, right? We know that. Whatever. If we don't know that, I'll say it. All right. The success of U.S. soccer clubs and academies is built around, right, these clubs' ability to poach on black and Spanish players. Like, let's just keep it funky, right? That's the model for any good club team, right? You find that superstar black and Spanish kid who's super fast, super strong, super skillful, right? And then you match him up with whatever else you got behind him, but that dude is the one who's going to score the goals and set everything up. It's the same thing that with my Bethesda team, except it wasn't built around just one guy. We had a bunch of black and Spanish dudes who was lights out. You know what I mean? But that's the model, bro. So that's why I would never let somebody label me a Bethesda product. Hell no. Bethesda did nothing for my development, right? They post me. I showed up, showed out, and then they get the credit for it. But I didn't know no better. And like I told you, right? My dad was as much as involved as he was, loved him for it. He didn't know no, but he was trying to figure it out too. He was not from here, right? He was trying to figure it out too. So most of these parents, when they're leaving, and I know y'all know it, right? You'll have those conversations with them, but it's like they don't know no better because of how soccer is in America. So they kind of gotta believe that DC United who's telling them this, that. You know what I mean? Because you're telling them what they want to hear. You know, and because if you haven't already done it. If you can't sit there and tell a parent, show them, look, man, I done put 50 kids into college. I done put 100 kids overseas. Now they make $100 million. Like, because when we sit there and we watch basketball and football success, we see it. So it's easy for them to be like, yeah, you know, or they got brothers, cousins, uncles, somebody in their family with some knowledge. It's not like that in soccer. So it's unfortunate because parents, it starts with the trust, right? In the beginning. Right, it starts with that trust. My mom trusted, right, Theo Batre. Hey, I trust you, right? Jason tells you, right, that trust, right, that his mother had in Tucker, the trust that Alex's parents had in Coach Tucker, the trust, right, that my father had in Coach Tucker. That's all that they got because they don't really know, right? So when Big Bucks starts calling. And so for me, it wasn't like my parent, it was just me. Like I said, I got all this exposure, all this stuff. So I don't even realize I'm being poached. I don't even realize ODP is leading me astray. I don't even realize that my thoughts to want to go to a Rutgers because I'm thinking this is my path to the pros. Not knowing Rutgers isn't going to really care for me. I don't know that. I just know, like, all Americans go there. Alexi Lalas went there. This guy went there. All these dudes ended up on the next team. All these dudes ended up in the MLS. So one of the biggest mistakes that I made was not going to Howard, right? Not going to Howard because not understanding the bigger picture. No one broke down the bigger picture to me. I'm trying to analyze the picture for myself, just like a parent is trying to analyze the picture for their self, for their child. I was the parent in that case. I'm trying to analyze it for myself. Like, hold on, how is not going to be best for me? Ain't nobody going to the pros from Howard. Like anybody, I'm just looking at the system, not knowing the system is corrupt, and not knowing that when it comes to the pros, and then kind of also to answer your question before, there's different. Hey, the pros don't care about none of that stuff, bro. Can you help me win today? Can you score some goals today? I'll pay you. I'll pay you. I don't care, right? If you're going to ball, somebody will pay you. All that other stuff is out the window once you get there. Now, the path to get there, yeah. But if you can get there, if you can get in front of somebody and you can ball, bro, all that other stuff, with academy, all BS, right? I mean, even now, having to deal with international scouts, I've been dealing with international scouts for about a year now, and that's what one of them kind of told me, like, man, we don't care about none of that stuff, man. We're looking at the videotape. Can that dude ball or not? We don't care about Bethesda this and none of that stuff,
Yeah.
Go ahead. You look like you want to say something, Mike. What's up, man?
No.
I'm messing your show up.
No.
Am I messing y'all show up?
I want to fast forward a little bit, okay?
No. Okay, go ahead, James.
Larry, you got more to say?
Now go ahead. I feel like I'm messing y'all show up, man. Go ahead.
No. Nah, man, this is real. We keeping it real, so that's what it's all about. So what I was gonna say,
yeah, I'm afraid of what I might say. Man. For real, bro.
I started coaching, right? What other contribution are you doing for soccer right now, or for football? Do you do any other contribution towards football outside of coaching?
Yeah. Outside of, what do you mean? As far as I train kids, right? I train kids, do individual training, small group training, things like that. I guess some mentoring, right? Is that what you mean when it comes to the contribution? I mean, if what I would like to do at the end of the day, right? The contribution that I would love to put on the game of football is to be able to create a lane, create opportunities for kids in this area to become millionaires. Period. Like that's what I want to do, especially kids who look like me, or kids who went through what I went through. Shit, you could be white, and if you just went through what I went through, I'm there for you. You know what I mean? Because we got a white kid on Future now. You know what I'm saying? We got a white goalie. He wasn't in Dallas, but and that's one of my favorite dudes, man. For real. That's one of my favorite dudes because that's another dude who was just real with it. He was at another club, right, in Baltimore, and not only did he come to Future, but he also went to McNamara, right, because he believed in me and the other coach, Mark. He believed in us. So step number one, anyone who genuinely, and his belief was different because, I mean, some people, some of those type, I don't want to, sometimes people will hop on board when things are successful, right, just ride a train. But sometimes people really do believe that he really did. So, hey, man, that's one of my favorite guys. So I don't want to make it a white thing or a black thing. I really don't. But it's about oppression, for real, to just keep it funky with you, man. All of us, we went through a level of oppression. You know what I mean? That's what that chip is just so great for us, right, in this area. It was oppression, not, racially, but even like as an area. Like there was just something on this area where we just couldn't take off. It's not represented in the national team and overseas. Like, I don't know, but yeah. So that's what I would love to contribute, man. Just putting this area on in any type of way, because like I said, I've been all over the world, man, and I feel like there's only one other spot that I feel like is special like this, and that's Brazil. When I went to Brazil, I mean, that's just on another level. You know what I mean? But I feel like there's things that we bring to the table here in America that Brazil don't bring to the table. All right, there's things that come to the table and the DMV that don't come to the table. So I don't see us being a better, right? We wouldn't be a better Brazil, but no, we could be the best DMV. You see what I'm saying? Like we can put together a product that nobody else in the world can put together, which can be world class. Yeah. And that's what Dallas showed me. Like when we do this thing right, and even we could still have done a lot better. Like our product could have been better. I mean, I even got players like laughing, like, yo, everybody thinks we're doing so good. Like could have played so much better that game, Yeah. So it's just the beginning.
Yeah, no. I mean, the point you made about, a lot of folks talk about Brazil. This came up in a recent conversation, the one we had with Nate as well. And, what people forget is a big part of Brazil's what makes them special is, and the things that everybody's trying to do, what they do is what made them great is they improvise. Like they whatever the resources, like the point you made, the point you made about having just one field. Right. And if it's one field and 3 teams, if the field has a pothole, then they're gonna find a way to play it. If they don't have a ball, or if they can only make like a small ball or whatever out of plastic, that's what they're gonna. So it's and then once you come through that, then you get, if you ever go to like you playing on the Bermuda grass or the turf, whatever. That's just like, it's like walking in a park. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that all your moves is so much quicker and cleaner. Yeah. And this is the part where people don't seem to understand. It's like you have to make the best out of your situation. And what like James will tell you, and I mean, everybody knows this. I say this all the time. The reason I think I'm bullish on ballers from this area is because this area has what all the top clubs, all the top programs in the world, when they go scouting, what they seek is right here, right? All the Brazilians are here, all the Trinidadians are here, all the Jamaicans are here, all the Nigerians are here, all the like Ghanaians, all of that, all of that, right? And so then if you like, what's, and this is why it's so important, like what we're doing is the culture piece, right? Because once you mesh this and really bring about this football culture, then you like the futures is every team. You know what I mean? Like all exactly. Like, because but it's even like, just how you say, you have the goalie that just came from Baltimore, right? He may come from a family that played basketball. Mm-hmm. So he has like extra, like, like his leaping ability is crazy, right? So he got that whole goalie thing locked down. Then you get these so you just start putting these pieces together all over the place.
Exactly.
And then you have this, like, every group that leaves out of this area is a Fab Five. And it's just like,
I'm telling you, like I said, I've been all over the world. Like I said, the goalie thing. My goalie growing up, I told you in Bethesda, right? When I was like, we call ourselves the All-Americans, our goalie. Same thing. He's from that Burtonsville crew. Yeah. Billy Childs, shout out to Billy Childs, William Childs, my guy. I think he's the coach at George Mason, assistant coach at George Mason now. Mm-hmm. All right. He was a basketball dude, right? Basketball dude. He was like a big oafy guy. Our coach used to put him, Brian's father used to have him playing like stopper. At the time, it was called stopper. You know what I mean? He was in the number 6, right? It was the stopper, right? And he would just go in there and just beat people up. Like, he was just a big, oafy dude, just going there, run people over, get a bunch of fouls, get kicked out the game. Good job, Billy. We used to call it Billy Ball. Brandon's father, go in there, play Billy Ball. Which means going there, just wreck some people, knock people over for us real quick. And then one day, right, his father was just like, because Billy was just so much into basketball, like missing games for basketball. And Brandon's father was like, man, just one practice, like, throw some goalie go. And I remember, like, watching it, like, that's genius. Yeah. That is genius. Yeah. Yes. He can be a goalie. Yeah. So that's one of the things I learned. Like, yeah, exactly. Americans will make the best goalies if they play.
No, like, it's those are like, it's the kind of, for me, like, it's so I talk to Jay, I mean, everybody can tell you this. To me, it's so obvious, right? Like, it's so, like, it's almost as like, am I the only, like, it's like, am I the only one seeing all of this?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying we can be, Brazil is cool, but it's like, we can do our own things that they can't do because we play so many other sports. Look, you said, the Nigerians, the African. Look, the best defenders I played against in my whole life were right here, except some guys in Brazil, right? Everything I'm talking about doesn't include Brazil. That's something else, right? But besides Brazil, the best defenders I ever played against were guys I grew up. Kids on Burtonsville, African kids from Burtonsville, right? Or other African kids in our DMV conglomerate, right? It's like, outside of that, I never had a problem. Even in the pros, it was like, nothing compares to them super strong, like bulletproof shinned African kids. Like, they kicking you the whole way. They pushing you the whole way. You know what I'm saying? They hit you in your stomach. Nothing compared to that.
You got one right in front of you.
Nothing compared to that. It's like everybody else was soft to me. Like, if you wasn't that ashy dude with, you know what I mean? Like, the slouchy socks, like the cheap cleats. Like, if you wasn't that dude, I'm good. Like, as long as you don't got that dude, I'm good.
The plastic Adidas with the
dude, like, no move works on that dude. Like, no move works. Like, that dude. Like, because it's like we all grew up playing. Like, no one was that dude. Same thing. Like, I say these are the fastest. The DMV has the fastest players in the world.
That's crazy.
I don't care. I still tell people I feel like I grew up with the fastest soccer players this world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Still, like I tell kids, hey, I don't care. I feel like I beat Ronaldo in the race right now. I don't care. The thing, I've been to Europe, right? I played ball in Europe, and I was surprised how slow them dudes were. I couldn't believe it. Like, pretty slow.
No,
They're
crazy.
Pretty slow.
Like,
We're watching them on TV, and we think they're fast. So I'm telling kids, like, y'all think, I'm telling you, man, you're faster than them. Y'all think Mbappe is great? Y'all are probably just as fast as Mbappe, if not faster, for real. Like,
no, it's
there's a
crazy.
certain level of speed that's not the same. I'm telling you. It's not the same, man. It's really not. We're on another level over here. We really are on another level.
It's crazy. No, yeah, man. I mean, trust me. I'm as anybody would tell you. Like, you know, anybody I talk to, I tell them, like, I'm telling you, and you know, to the point where all it takes really is the point you know, one of the things you brought up is all it takes is, like, you know, consistently having a class, right? So if you get 6 or 7 world-class ballers from here, go get signed directly to, like, you know, the big European clubs or whatever it is. It's over. Because then
just like in the record industry, it's the same thing. They tap into that area, like, oh, for real? Y'all rapping? Y'all got a bunch of there's more rappers like you
it's done.
Down there? Oh, we pulling up. We want some more. They're gonna make us money.
It's done. Exactly. Like, no,
and it can be done. That's what I'm saying. Any day now. It's all it's going to take. It's all it's going to take. And that's once again what Dallas showed me. That moment is coming. It's coming. It's coming.
All right, man. It's, you know, we can go on for days. It's been
we might do a part 2, man. For real. That was good though.
No, that was good, man.
Yeah,
a lot of information, Larry. For real, this is.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, man.
You took a lot of shots.
If y'all ever, you know, need a filling for a guest, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got more to talk about.
You about to pick up something again. I think you dropped something.
Telling you, just let me know, man. Let me know.
Yeah, man. No,
it's cool though.
It's been a pleasure. Cool. Yeah, definitely enjoy having you. Where, you know, how can folks get in touch with you? I'm sure now you're getting blown up from, you know, all the MLS and, you know, all the scouts, etc. But how can folks get in touch with you? Any social media handles?
Social media. Mine is GBE_Mark All right. Once again, that GBE, right? Get better every day. So we also have a GBE account, which is getbettereveryday.gbe. So check either one of those two out. Stay posted. I'm definitely working on being better at social media. I'm very bad at it. Trying to do a better job at it though. For sure. Just tapping into that whole realm. But definitely though, man. You can check me out there. Get at me on there. Slide in my DMs. If you need some help.
Yes, sir. Well, it's been a pleasure. You know, congrats to all the recent success. Like I said, you know, I think folks don't really understand how success really works. Folks, you know, see the success and think, oh, yeah. But it's a long game. Like, you know, especially athletic development, any kind of development really is a long game. This is a tiny jewel in the long process. You know what I mean? Like, the goal really, like I tell everybody, is to, you know, like I just said, have like a constant stream of world-class ballers coming out every year, you know, the top, you know, like the top, if there's like 20 top clubs, 6 of them are going to pick somebody, you know, like some kid coming out of here every year. Like, it's just, you know, constant.
Yeah, fact.
And then, you know, a whole bunch of other kids may not go to the top clubs, but they're going to fill in all the other clubs. You know?
Exactly. Right.
So yeah, that's really the long-term goal. And, you know, I'm glad that you're gaining some early success and hope that, you know, this continues so we can really move the needle, really. I think that's what
right, man. And I think that's great, man. We all on that same effort.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right, man. Thank y'all, man. Definitely. It has been a pleasure. Appreciate y'all.